27 live. The big show is on right in front of us. We're here live on justin.tv, recorded for YouTube, and we've just seen The Rock finally return to the WWE Wrestlemania pay-per-view, and I suppose a lot of people in the room were saying finish up that promo. It was very standard, very basic, but it involved him, I think, appealing to the crowd, and really as a start off to the event, it's a good thing. I mean, when you see The Rock in that free view, you're going to get a good show, and maybe you might pick up the phone. So I think a good idea by them.
Yeah, it's a great idea. The Rock, I think, electrifying the place to open up WrestleMania this year, setting the pace and getting that crowd electrified as only The Rock can do. A good call, I think, by WWE. In the end, if we have missed this Daniel Bryan Sheamus, according to reports that have come in here in the HQ, that's probably a bad thing. If it was a dark match, I do feel sorry for both of those guys. But again, this is sports entertainment we're dealing with, and no better entertainer than the man who has done it all from Hollywood to sports entertainment, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah, I'm certainly not happy with that Sheamus Daniel Bryan deal. I think, as I said just there live here, that it's a bit of a letdown for both those guys. I think they're both in a precarious position now, and I suppose, is it one or the other? Are both those guys going to hang around? I suppose at least they were on the card, and that says something. There was a lot of guys that didn't get a chance to be on there, and a couple of guys who snuck in the back door. I think the likes of maybe Kofi Kingston, supposedly announced for this one. We're going to wait and see, because it seems to be a lot of chop and change with some of these matches. So further thoughts to come. Edge versus Alberto Del Rio has just concluded here on WrestleMania 27. Edge has retained. No surprises there. I think Del Rio's push had to come to an end at some point, and it looks like tonight is the night. Now, overall, this match was fairly slow to begin with. You had the inclusion of Brodus Clay, of course, that ring announcer as well, and indeed Christian. So that kind of did help things to pick up a bit. Those guys were involved outside of the ring, which kind of, I suppose, took our attention away from some of those slow spots that were going on. Now, there were some submission moves that were attempted, and eventually it just ended up in a win. But overall, a world heavyweight match on the first match on the card was strange.
Yeah, they're firing swerves left, right and centre here tonight at WrestleMania 27. Never in my wildest dreams did I think this would be the opening match, but it was to be the case. Edge retains the World Heavyweight Championship. Alberto Del Rio's destiny has got a serious dent in it, and now the Radar superstar, not content with having won that belt, is eyeing up Alberto Del Rio's car.
We've just seen Cody Rhodes take on Rey Mysterio. Now, Cody Rhodes coming out with that mask and eventually getting unmasked, risking losing those dashing looks, but it ended up with Cody Rhodes actually defeating Rey Mysterio here after a match that had some very impressive moves. I really thought Rhodes did his very best in terms of actually mirroring Mysterio's style. Now, initially you wouldn't expect Mysterio and Rhodes, I suppose, to gel when you think about it, but actually it works very well. With Mysterio, you've got a guy that can be picked up, thrown around, you can do anything with him, and I think Rhodes capitalised on that and created quite a good showing. I think a good match.
I never in my wildest dreams would have expected Cody to step it up that much. A big win at WrestleMania for taking out a guy like Rey Mysterio, who's got some serious history when it comes to WrestleMania. A guy who's a former, I don't know how many times champion, but many, I'm sure. But certainly for Cody Rhodes, I think this is the start of, I would imagine, a long career for the dashing one. Good match, strong match. Wasn't as boring as the opening World Heavyweight Championship match between Edge and Del Rio, and Cody showing us that he can step it up when he needs to and put on some serious reversals on the masked one, Rey Mysterio. I'll give this one out of 5. I'd say about a 3.4.
I'm looking at about maybe 3.5 out of 5 for this, because I think both guys put on a good show, and again, I may not have ever been a huge Mysterio fan, but continuously I'm reminded that when he's involved in the mix, he certainly can perform, and he can make guys look good. I wouldn't say Rhodes needed to be made look good, because in this case he actually did very well in performing here tonight. So again, good competitive one. Bit of a surprise really to see Cody Rhodes come out on top. I wasn't expecting that. Mysterio, usually the company guy that they push and push, and then in this case we've seen it go the opposite way, I think.
Yeah, well, I think with the dashing one, you never really want to rule him out. I suppose he did a lot better than Ted DiBiase did coming out of the other end of Legacy. And I don't think we would have seen that maybe this time last year as Ted was getting the push, but looks like Cody's the one to keep your eyes on, folks.
We've just seen the conclusion of that 4-on-4 tag team match. Big Show, Kane, Santino and Kofi took on the Core. Wade Barrett walking to the ring with a determined look. He knew what was to come, and that was a very, very short match, which ended up with Heath Slater getting a knockout punch, and that was it. I think it was about a minute, maybe 2 minutes. You had a Cobra even in that short space of time. What can I say? There wasn't really much to talk about here.
All I'm going to say is this. This is WrestleMania. I'm not going to get crazy about it or anything. I'm just saying this is WrestleMania. A match like this, which has no real purpose. I would say something if it was even a bit funnier than what it was, which wasn't funny at all. It wasn't a comedy spot. It wasn't a high spot. It was just all those guys doing one move each, and Heath Slater getting the knockout punch from Big Show. No point to it. Hogging time. It could have been Sheamus, Daniel Bryan with a decent match at a WrestleMania card, but it wasn't to be the case. I'd give that one 0.2 out of 5, I'd say.
I'm actually going to give that one 1.5 out of 5 because I enjoyed the flurry of kicks to the head. Everybody got a kick to the head, bar Kofi Kingston and maybe Santino as well on the outside. So I suppose they did something, and maybe that was better than making it a long drawn out thing.
That's true. At least they did wrap it up quickly. I did like the way Slater did get the knockout punch, so that was quite funny.
Now, your comments in the chat room. Wilcock, man, either this is lagging or we have a delayed stream. We are a bit delayed, that's for certain. Exville Shadow, 8 men, 2 minutes. And yeah, I think that sums it up very well. Dave Birmingham, 6 matches to go in the next 3 hours. And the main event, I give that 10 out of 10 because the Core is just awful. NATO, Kofi defeated 3 Core members by himself. I suppose believability is tricky with that. And Old School Games, Santino rules. 91 Kaysen, Snooky's going to steal the show. And Captain Charisma, worst Mania contender. So, X-Will Shadow, 10 out of 10 because the card was awful and they timed the match well. And of course right now we're looking at Mae Young, The Rock and Eve Torres backstage here at WrestleMania. We're not, they are. Randy Orton has just defeated CM Punk in the match that I pretty much think was the match for psychology. It started off with Orton holding that knee, of course damaged, and that was a big factor in how this match played out. You had a lot of Orton in a weak condition, kind of on the floor and not really able to do much. At one point he even attempted a punt on CM Punk, dropped to the ground, but it wasn't long after that an attempted RKO was blocked out of nowhere. Orton bringing that Viper-like power back, and then eventually Punk was caught mid-air. The RKO led to the finish, and Punk is defeated. Orton goes over.
Orton goes over in this one-on-one. We've seen the build for quite some time now. CM Punk, I thought, would be the victor of this one, but it wasn't to be the case. Not the greatest match I've ever seen in my life, I have to say. Punk, impressive, but not overly impressive. And Orton, I suppose the same old 5 to 10 moves you're going to see every time Orton gets in the ring. That leg definitely playing a big part in this one. But, Orton can still get around enough to get that RKO in for the big finish and a WrestleMania victory here for the Viper.
Absolutely, Orton standing tall. That's the end of what was an okay match. I think overall I enjoyed what they did in this one. They had a chance to work some Punk psychology where he was in control for a little bit, and then of course Orton always with that knee. Overall, I would give it a 3 out of 5. Maybe 2.5 out of 5 actually on second thought. It wasn't the most exciting match, but I kind of like what both of these guys did in there, and for one I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of. I think it sort of impressed me a bit more than I thought.
I'm going to give this one 3.0 out of 5. Decent. I've seen better.
So we've just seen Jerry Lawler defeat Michael Cole, a match that was full of Cole offense, helped a lot by Swagger. Swagger a big part of this equation, at one point interfering, trying to throw the towel in when Lawler finally got the offense that he needed to start countering Cole's attack, and Stone Cold Steve Austin pretty much ignoring that and throwing the towel back at him. That led to a stunner on Swagger, and from there on in it was Lawler's match.
It was indeed. It was a fun little match, in fairness. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting really going into it. I suppose a few spots from Austin and a small bit of interference from Swagger, a few stunners, everything you'd expect from what it was, I suppose. But good to see Lawler get his WrestleMania moment, and we see him celebrate with Booker and Austin in the ring, drinking a few beers. I don't think there's any better people, I suppose, to be dealing with. But that was a good little encounter, good fun, nothing too crazy. If I had to give it marks out of 5, I suppose for what it was, you can't really mark a match like that, can you? Really?
It was more of a showcase and a payoff for the feud that we've seen built so well in these past few weeks. Brian Christopher being the highlight for me. When they rolled him out on Raw, it was a mark out moment, and we've seen a payoff. But to be honest with you, it was so much kind of maybe Cole offense that you didn't really get to see the heel have his ass kicked for that long. Now Lawler really didn't get to do too much to him, as I say, selling for most of this, and I think, I'd maybe have liked to see Cole get a serious beating, a worked serious beating in this match, but for some reason we've just seen Stone Cold stunner Booker.
Was there any reason for it, really? Was there?
I suppose here's a guy who can leave the territory. Booker gets his Mania spot.
You can just stunner anybody he wants to stunner, really.
That's right. So there we have it. Stone Cold eventually then not allowing the tap out from Cole to be the verdict until eventually he did succumb, and he called the end result there. Lawler making Cole tap out.
Indeed, he did. We never got to see that classic pile driving finish. I would have liked that for Lawler, seeing as it was Mania, and that was his classic finisher. But it's all over now, I'm sure. I don't see this one continuing on for much longer. Will they be back at the broadcast booth tomorrow night? Time will tell. But for now, Cole's got something to think about, a lot to think about, as the Raw GM steps in to make some interesting points. Let's have a look.
Absolutely, I'll give that Lawler Cole thing maybe 1.5, maybe I'll go 2 out of 5 for Lawler Cole.
I'd say I'm gonna go 2 as well. I think 2 is a fair figure. I wonder will we ever find out who the general manager is at this stage.
Yeah.
Austin's going crazy here.
So what in the name of God is happening here? I suppose Lawler has been disqualified. Josh Matthews reiterating that. Austin goes. Yeah. Payday. So let's, I suppose, give our thoughts on that. Officially, Cole has gone over via general manager, which is not what we thought.
Yeah, the GM reverses the decision. And, well, it is Michael Cole, the winner of this one. Here, this makes sense now.
The Undertaker triumphs in this match versus Triple H. Triple H tapping out as Hell's Gate applied. It took a while, but eventually we got there. This match started off with some stuff with the announce table, very reminiscent of Batista v Undertaker. I said that perhaps this was exactly what I expected to see. Powerhouse struggle, and also it did in a way deliver for what it was going to be. And right now we're looking at fireworks. Triumph 19-0. The streak continues.
The streak continues at WrestleMania 27, and an epic showdown between two legends. Triple H, the man himself, the cerebral assassin, could not get the job done tonight, folks. He could not get the job done. All that hard work, all that psychology, and in the end, only to tap out to the Phenom, The Undertaker, who takes it from 18-0 to 19-0, and 18-1 gets the serious burial. As far as wrestling matches go,
one of your favourites, one of the best on WrestleMania, or no?
It was okay. It was okay. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I will say that much. I probably will watch it again to really judge it. But from first impressions and a live, I suppose, reaction, you gotta love that. Fans holding up tombstones with
that's creative
names such as Snuka, HBK, Orton, A-Train and Big Show, Giant Gonzalez, Psycho Sid, Jake and the Bossman. That just goes to show how legit that streak really is, I suppose. But it is 19-0. I'm going to shut up about it now because I've said enough. The streak continues.
Triple H was always going to have a tough job to follow up those two Shawn Michaels matches, and I wouldn't say, of course, it was unlikely he was going to be able to deliver a Michaels match, and I think now we're looking at blood coming from the face of Triple H. So powerhouse struggle. We did say to the guys in the chat room that they didn't even need to see this one, because basically you have seen it a million times before. We eventually got to that point where you had Triple H using the tombstone on Undertaker, and that kind of threw it in another direction, eventually then motoring to that final finish with the submission. And actually I was glad to see a submission. It's nice now and again to get that, because it's different, I think.
I think one thing I will say about the finish of the match, it was a bit different and it was good and unique. I think what they did with it, that Hell's Gate submission locked on for quite some time. You thought Trips was going to get out of it, but I think a bit more pressure applied from Taker. So much pressure that he could barely even stand up now. But here he comes. But yeah, I like that finish. I thought it was a nice change from the reversal pedigree into the tombstone, into the pedigree, into the last ride, into the usual malark. So yeah, I suppose the streak continues.
Some good reversal spots. You just reminded me there. There was a lot of back and forth. Taker trying to lock in moves, followed by a counter from Triple H with one of his signature trademark maneuvers. And I suppose that's always good. But again, like a lot of these matches, it just seems to have been lacking something. There was a lot of, I think, downtime in these matches overall. When you look back through them, there was, Triple H spent maybe a couple of minutes lying on the mat outside and things like that. So I suppose a lot of filler in a way, and that's worrying to me. I mean, I know Taker can only do so much with all the injuries he has, but he didn't seem to be talking much about them when the chairs were raining down on him, and obviously he agreed with Triple H's chair attack for it to happen. And now Triple H has a mark of respect waiting for Taker as he falls out of the ring, and so ends that. We've seen Trish Stratus, Snooki and John Morrison be victorious in this match, and the finish involving Snooki, I haven't got much to say about this one because I didn't see it.
I can imagine it was a 5-star classic by all means.
The Miz has defeated John Cena. A dirty finish that we were calling all the way through. If Miz was going to go over, it wasn't going to be clean. And certainly it's not the case. It wasn't a clean finish. We had originally the match after a series of, quite interesting spots. I suppose there was a bit going on. Cena used up all his moves, as one chatter said, in just one little flurry of offense. Eventually then that first running of that match was finished with a double count out, a draw. The match restarted by The Rock, the host of WrestleMania. Rock bottom Cena, and I think going forward we're going to look for a Rock versus John Cena match, because that's where I thought they were going originally. As regards Miz, well, he's survived, he's come out of this as champion, and fair play. I can't say I disagree with it overall, but at least it didn't end in a double count out.
Yeah, and I think we would have probably been a bit more pissed if it was just a clean Cena finish. At least this one's somewhat interesting, and it sets up nicely for Cena and Rock to potentially go at it, if Rock is willing, of course, to have one more match, or maybe he'll have more than one more match. That remains to be seen. But overall, strange WrestleMania. It's certainly not one of my favourites. I thought it was fairly ropey pretty much the whole way through. That finish again, I think we kind of saw a little bit that everything that happened was going to happen, but I suppose what else can you say about it? We've been on here forever, and The Miz retains. The Rock got his spot. If I was in that crowd and I'd pay that much to fly from here to there, I certainly wouldn't be the happiest camper in the world. But I will go on record and say I'm glad that I haven't done that. I'm sure you will agree with me. And maybe next year we'll consider it again. Will we follow through? Probably not. But yeah, it was WrestleMania 27, possibly one of the worst WrestleManias of all time.
You know, that's what everyone's been saying in the room. I'm going to give a quick rating for the Cena Miz match. I think I'll go with maybe a 3 out of 5 now. Actually, yeah, I suppose that's fair. But actually, there were so many 2s and 3s. There wasn't a single 5-star match in there. Not a chance. I wouldn't rate any of those matches as being worthwhile. I would go with exactly as you say. Certainly far from WrestleMania standard. And I think overall that is what we've been left with. The buy rate's going to be very interesting on this. What's going to happen? How many have they sold? Has this product been successful? It's a matter of